Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Let's Crack It. We had a little break, Carlo and me, because it was summertime. We had a little vacation as well. And now we're back on track for you guys. Hey, Carlo. Good morning, so to
Yeah,
say.
good morning, Phil. How's it going?
It's good to see you again. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm fine.
so
Today's topic, we're going to talk about what are we talking about? Designing for impact. We are going to talk about aesthetics and functionality. What is more important, or where do you have to look out into which, how do I say, when comes aesthetics more into the importance and when comes functionality more into the importance?
mhm,
And yeah, we just had a little chat about support before, what we get from our beloved ones in the back for doing all
exactly.
that stuff that we are doing, how we keep ourselves
Yeah,
alive. And yeah, but we will get back on that on a later episode.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
Carlo, today we're going to talk a little bit about your major, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's more or less your major part of your daily work.
Yes, it is. It
And
is.
also mine, of course, but I guess design, especially functionality, is a very important part of UX. So I would just say, like,
Right.
maybe you have something to say to that, and I will add my 2 cents later. And
Absolutely.
yeah, let's
Absolutely.
just dive into this topic.
So, I would like to start this episode in more funny way, in the sense that I would like to take the advantage of what we said before, and I want to ask you a question, Bill.
Yeah.
Is what is the first thing that you look at, you know, to a girl? Okay, we're both married, right?
Yeah. Yes.
But
But we are still men,
what,
right?
yeah, exactly. But I mean, what is the first thing that you look when you see a girl? What is the first thing that you look at? Be really, I mean, be open.
Okay, Carlos, that's a very personal question.
You,
But
you shouldn't go into
do,
details, but I mean,
do, do you want to hear now whether I'm a butt butt person or no? Just joke, jokes
no,
aside.
but
No, what I do, of course, like we are all driven by uh, aesthetics, so to say.
mhm,
Yeah, I mean, it's everybody knows it. Like, yes, if you look good, even
mhm,
looking good can have different tastes. Everybody has a different
mhm,
taste, but yeah, if
exactly.
I'm talking to a girl or I find her attractive, actually has to do with if it fits to my taste, so to say, right?
Mhm. Exactly. And this is the point that I wanted to take, right? So, we as humans are always attracted by beauty in general, right? So, and so aesthetic is something that is really is nothing new. I mean, from the beginning of the era, right? We not only are attracted by the beauty and the aesthetic, but also we try to create something that is beautiful, right?
Right.
And so here the comparison is that when you look at a girl, right, the first thing that attracts you is their beauty, right? So if this meets your beauty standards, right? Yeah, if and this is critical because this can be applied really a lot into design in general, because there is this one of the UX laws, which is the aesthetic usability effect, which is funny because it's something that is really is connected to how we feel beauty and aesthetic, right? And the reality is that sometimes we are, or I would say most of the times, we are, as human, are more tolerant to minor, I would say, usability issues when we have a beautiful interface,
Right.
And here again we can compare it to, a beautiful girl that is attractive, and maybe a girl that is a little bit less attractive, but can be a super good mom, can be a super good uh, housewife, you know, and can help you, can support you in everything, right? And here it's really something that is connected, right? So it's funny how we can really connect two complete different world, which is design and, you know normal life, right?
Right.
Because if we think about this, when we utilize an application, or I would like to do this comparison with you know product that are on the market since years, like for example Apple's, this usual, and probably is a lot of cliche sometimes, but utilizing an iPhone with their design, and um, or for example a Tesla, right? For people that loves cars. So the thing is, even though you might have some flaws, right, you are more, I would say, tolerant to minor, again, usability issues, if there are, right? And this in design, I would say, translate a lot when, for example, you are building and you want to test, your website. Sometimes testing the website into a stage where you already have all the design in place, the color palettes in place, and nice, I would say, pictures in place. And you are going to test the website in these conditions. Uh, we, as a designer and researcher, that we have to do this task to understand if actually the application or the website is going in the right direction.
Right.
We should be really careful about what the user tell us, for, I would say, three main reasons. The first reason is that sometimes during this usability testing that we do with websites or applications, um, uh, people tend to not be, how can I say, too critical, or to criticize actually your design, for the simple reason to be kind, right? The second main topic is because they think that, or they might think that what they are seeing is something that you did as interviewer. So again, for the same reason, they want to be kind, they don't want to be, and the third reason, which is again linked back to aesthetic, is that if you have um, beautiful color palette, you did a great job with your aesthetic, you selected the perfect pictures, people tend to be, again, more tolerant. And at the end of the discussion, they might say, okay, uh, yeah, I think the website is super cool. You have a great palette. I like the colors, which is something that you should really be aware of as a interviewer, because it's critical to understand that their opinion is driven by this aesthetic usability effect, which is something that it's unconscious in us. Um, and so it's really important when you do this sort of testing, that you compare what they say with what they do. Because if at the end of the day, at the end of the discussion, they say just, yeah, your website is cool, but actually you saw that to find, I don't know, on an e-commerce, for example, to find an apparel that they want to buy was super difficult for them. You have this comparison about these two things that doesn't match, right? So they say
Right.
that it's
Right.
cool, they say that is amazing, but on the other hand, they took like 5 minutes to find, I don't know, a pair of shoes, right? And so we as a designer, we should really be focused on this and understand really the behaviors of people in this
Right.
sense. Mhm.
That reminds me a little bit. Sorry when I just jump in here, but it just reminded me a little bit on communication between people.
Mhm.
There's always we have five senses how we communicate, and
Mhm.
you say that 80% is actually not the visible communication. It's like 20% I pick up by looking at you and hearing you, or like looking at you and seeing what you do, for example, with the hands. When you explain with the hands, I mean, there's a lot of people that do like, with the fingers and hands and everything. I'm one of those, so I know. um, but what's the underlying thing? And I would take this as an analogy to the functionality is your body language.
Mhm.
So
Exactly.
basically, if I can make the connections here, when I'm on a website and I see, hey, look, it's all nice, good colors. They speak to me. It's fluid. It's just nice to look at. But
Mhm.
then, as you said, like if it takes me 5 minutes to do the purchase, that's kind of like the body language. That's something that probably will set you off, but you don't know why.
Mhm. Mhm.
Probably you will not return to this website or app or application in general. But yeah, it will be like, if you have 7 steps to finish your checkout, that's probably something I'm going to be like, yeah, maybe I buy it on Amazon because Amazon has it like, I just like put it to cart or I can buy immediately. Zack, boom, the
Yeah,
thing is on the
exactly.
way.
Mhm.
And it's
Mhm.
quick. It's what people get hooked. People don't have time anymore.
Mhm.
And yeah, I would say it's a little bit like that. You can communicate with the aesthetic, what you see, what I see or read.
Mhm.
And then you can also communicate via the functionality, which I will call a body language, so to say.
Mhm.
It's like the underlying communication tool
Yeah.
that actually makes you, and I guess you are one of those that like when you visit the website, you figure out all these like, okay, why is it doing this now? Like you would instantly believe like, I could change this. Why does it have an extra step here? Or why is it not connected together? Or why do I have to move it there? Or why is the button in this color, for example?
Mhm.
Because it doesn't make sense for you. I don't click on it. If a primary button is designed as a secondary button,
Mhm.
that's kind of like the thin line between design and usability. And somehow it's so connected that, yeah, that it's hard to sometimes figure out these flaws in the background, right?
Absolutely, absolutely, 100% with this topic. Absolutely. There is also to say that there's obviously this aesthetic usability effect obviously has some limits, right? And again, doing a simple comparison here is that if you are building, I don't know, a website for financial institution, and you utilize, some or too many funny illustrations or animations and stuff like that, right? Even though this might look super cool to who is looking at the website, you are not communicating with the target audience, right? So, and it's exactly the same thing of saying, okay, you might like one kind of girl and I might like another kind of girl, right?
Right.
So it's also really important to say that again, this like everything has its limit. Going back to, for example, to Apple products, and this was one of the topics on the Nelson Norman group website, on the energy website, and they do this comparison of Apple because Apple was one of the first, I would say, company that really understood the importance of how a good functional product needs good aesthetic. So obviously, when you buy an Apple product, it's because you don't only like how it looks, but it's also because you like how they feel in your hands and how you interact with them.
Right.
Because it's always the mix of the two things, right? That makes the great product. And missing one of the two parts sometimes brings to I don't want to say frustration because probably it's too exaggerated, but depending on the context, might also be frustration.
Right.
So and this is also super important. For example, when you create SaaS product, and so product design in general, you really should be aware about those two things. So should not only be functional, which is okay. It's I would say the best part, but should also look good. Because
Right.
if
Right.
you have a table, right, that makes tons of stuff like an Excel, right, you can do whatever, but actually it's ugly,
Yeah.
right? People think that Excel is shit just because it's ugly. I'm the
Right.
kind of person that I understand the potential and how powerful is Excel, right? Everybody hates Excel. I don't hate Excel because of itself, because I know how powerful it is. I hate probably because can be better way to do things. And here is where other applications like, I don't know, Airtable or Notion or
Google
this kind
Sheets
of
even.
Google Sheets even, right? Um, looks a little bit better, and people are more happy to utilize something like that
Right.
instead of
I'm one
Excel.
of I'm one of those. I use Google Sheets any time of the day, and I avoid Excel whenever I can,
Yeah,
because
you
I'm
see?
one of those. Look, I'm also not
Yeah.
like so proficient with Excel, but yeah, you have a point there, because Google Sheets for me is this go-to tool, because around 80% of the functionalities you need in a day in, day out business,
Hmm.
you can do with Google Sheets. And somehow it's just lightweight. I know
Hmm.
where to click it, it's intuitive. And in Excel, I just drown in all the functionalities. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
Now here is like 7 buttons. Like, what? I don't even know what is written. I don't even understand what it does, you know?
yeah,
And yeah,
exactly.
exactly. But it just brings me back also to, it just reminded me again, like this topic that we discussed today. Again, it's just human behavior again, which it is all over, you know? Like the
Absolutely.
aesthetics. Like imagine you are, like yesterday I watched with my wife Love is Blind on Netflix. Do you know that show?
No, no.
It's
I'm
great.
good.
It's great. It's a great story.
Uh-huh.
Short. I just summarize it quickly. It's a bunch of people. They talk to each other behind a wall, and they have to then like propose to each other to get
Hmm.
out of that. But they have never seen each other. So
Okay.
if you take this example, for example, if you take this for an example, it's basically they test the functionalities out of each other. So they supposedly fall in love with each other on their functionalities, because they only speak, they only talk, and they don't see each other. After they have proposed to each other, they actually get the chance to see each other. And it's
Hmm.
mostly that cringe moment, you know, it's like, oh, okay, I thought you are taller or something. Yeah, you know, but that, yeah, what you just explained before just totally reminded me on that. And the other thing is, again, I was working in a company and they had an online shop, a huge online shop that they were selling books. They had like, I don't know, 50,000 books there. The website was not good looking, but they wanted to change it. They were like, hey, it doesn't look good. We need a new website. And I was like, stop. It's probably cheaper if you just think through, take the data. What are the people doing on the website? Where are they jumping off?
Mhm.
Like, for example, what's the bounce rate, or like where do they bounce and whatever. And I told them, hey, let's just look into that and optimize it so that the people still buy your products, because they had an average of 2,000 people per month on their website, which is a good traffic, if you ask me, for a niche product. And yeah, they are now going down that rabbit hole of let's just make it all nice, but probably the functionality is not it's going to be the same eventually. It just looks
Mhm.
nice, but it doesn't work, and then you just spend a lot of money for a. I always made this comparison because we're from Switzerland. We say that it's like an Italian car. It looks fucking awesome, but we always said Italian cars are nice, but the problem is that the designer also built the car, so it falls apart later. But and on the other hand, you have a Toyota. A Toyota doesn't look so awesome, to be honest. I drive a Toyota. It looks decent, but it's not super cool looking. But I have no problem with that car. A friend of mine has the same model. He drove 300,000 kilometers with that. It's crazy, and he never had any issues with it. And that's where the functionality comes in, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it could look like a Tesla, it could look like an Alfa Romeo or a Ferrari or Maserati, but it needs to satisfy you as a customer. And that's
Yeah.
definitely also applicable between people. Like if you and me, we also met each other, not really seeing each other so well, but we just kind of like got off on a good foot. So the functionality
Yeah,
was given. So it's
absolutely.
again, I feel like it's all in human behavior. And yeah, people sometimes just think too far. Like, what could we do better? It's just ask yourself, do you think it's good? Do you understand it? And if so,
Exactly.
yeah, then it's good.
This is again crucial because nowadays we are a lot driven only from beauty, and
Right.
I want to do this again, this comparison with Tesla. I want to take this comparison because it's a really nice point. So Tesla also it's one of the, I would say, best electric car out there, right? And it looks cool. They have good lines, and people love that. And actually, a lot of other cars have even better lines, better performances, right? But why people takes Teslas? Because they minimized and minimalized everything to have only the functionality that you need.
Right.
And for example, also Tesla is one of the probably the only one that has space on the back and on the front, because some of them, some of the electric cars, for example, even though you don't have an engine actually on the front, they are packed with a lot of other stuff that it's quite useless, you know. So Tesla engineering is something that brings really the aesthetic with the functionality. And for example, one thing that I noticed is that which is funny, a lot of people are buying Tesla, even though for a car that is, I would say, 60 grand. I mean, it's a lot of money
Yeah.
to buy a Tesla. And I'm talking about the Model Y, right? It's
Right.
and the Model E, which are the
It's
cheapest.
model it's Model 3. There is no E because Model
Yeah,
E was
Model 3. Sorry.
patented by Renault or something,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So you have to
exactly.
change it.
And the Model 3 actually are, I would say, the cheapest one, and still expensive, I would say, but the lack of something that all other cars since 2010 have, which are the sensors on the front of the car.
They
And a
don't have
lot,
that?
they don't have that.
Really? I didn't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, that's a big issue because obviously, well, there was a discussion from Elon Musk about this topic. But anyway, people is buying such a car, spending 60 grand, and they don't even have this sensors on the front, which a lot of people is saying, Jesus, I spent so much money, and I always, crash the car in front of the wall when I'm parking, because I don't know how much distance I have, right? Which is crazy, because this is a big usability issue, because we have this technology since many years, and still, Tesla didn't figure out yet how to really handle this problem, because they have, I mean, they have like 7 cameras everywhere. So there are other people that has all this technology that can see the car 360 from the top, right? Because
Right.
of the angles of the cameras, blah blah blah. And still Tesla doesn't have it,
Interesting.
and which is interesting. But people buy Tesla,
Yeah.
you
But
know.
I
This
think
is
there also another aspect comes into play, this kind of like the feeling that you get when buying a Tesla and driving a Tesla. It's like what you mentioned earlier with Apple products. I always look at Tesla as the Apple of car manufacturing.
Yeah.
Design is fine, the functionality usually is also, and people buy, why do people buy a iPhone 14 Max for €1,000 if they could get an Android phone which does pretty much the same functionalities for 500, or even less. And that has to do with this, like, I want to belong to this tribe then, but that goes more into branding, but that definitely plays into the game of Tesla as well. I mean,
exactly.
I can spot a Tesla driver from a kilometer somehow. It's kind of like it's mostly these techie, geeky, forward
Yeah.
thinking startup people, or whereas you don't really see a lot of Toyotas driven by such people, because they're
Mhm.
more like, I want to have this feeling of driving something nice
Mhm.
and not necessarily the functionality. And again, that brings me to the point that you actually opened this podcast. We are all driven by aesthetics.
Yes.
And just maybe to finish this, I would like to know from you,
Mhm.
talking about finding the sweet spot between balancing beauty and usability. What would you give away to our listeners, or like where would you say, like, okay, here is where aesthetic is more important and here is where functionality is more important?
Well, again, this is really a subtle lines, because and this is true also if you read one of the best book on this topic, which is um, from um, from Don Norman, which is Emotional Design. It's an old book of 2004, but explains exactly this. So all the concept behind how important is to always find the right balance between aesthetic and functionality, because both of them should bring their weight on the product. A really good functionality driven product will never be successful if it's ugly. And if you, for example, you want to also promote, a product, and you have a ugly or shitty website, nobody will go on it. I
Right.
mean, right? And on the same side, on the other side, if you have a super looking product, but it's not really solving any problem, at the other hands, you will not have any results, and you will not have reach any people. And
Right.
so, yeah, it's always to really find, search, and research what is the right spot for your target audience.
So it's safe to say, like, for me as a marketer, I try to use design and nice looking things to bait people. because it's the first thing you see. But then you have to actually double up with a good functionality and actually deliver value with that. So
Absolutely.
I guess it's a good approach.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Hey, this was super interesting to talk to a professional about this, because there were definitely some things that you spoke off my heart that I see the same.
Yeah.
And yeah, everybody, I think we wrap it up here.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Carlo, for your insight and knowledge. It's always a pleasure talking to you. And see you guys next time. Have a good one, everybody.
Bye. Bye-bye.